Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new video. My name is Liv, and in this one we are going to talk about how to train new players right, so that they don't hate learning to play your game. Game tutorials, a hot topic for debate among game designers. Most players hate them, especially when we have to go 30 minutes or more through them to get to actually play the game. As a game developer, you finish making an awesome game, or at least you think it's the epitome of awesome, but then you have to train your players on how to play it. This has been true ever since the days of Super Mario or Zelda. Why is that? Because any game consists of rules and systems. New players have to understand how they can interact with your game in order to be successful in it. A long time ago, RTFM, or reading the effing manual, was considered a must, but for players picking up a copy of a new game but can't wait to start playing, reading a 100-page manual first to learn how to play the game is a very unappealing proposition, especially nowadays. So, game developers must think of a way to train new players to pick up the basics for playing the game on the get-go. In this video, let's talk about how to train new players right so that they do not hate learning how to play. Now, this is usually done through some form of tutorial, either a formal one, in a designated safe area, what I call the shooting range approach, or during the introduction of the actual game in the live world, so to speak. We can call that organic tutorial design. In this video, we are going to look at 3 case studies on training new players by looking at the tutorials for the original Deus Ex game, first released in 2000, Bioshock from 2007, and Bioshock Infinite from 2013. I've picked these games as they are complex enough to warrant having to go through the tutorial and actually paying attention, as each game offers several options on how to creatively approach problem solving by using various dynamic game systems. Now, I know what you guys are going to say. Listen, Liv, we're gamers. We don't need tutorials. We can pick things up as we go. However, consider this. Most of the people playing games nowadays are actually casual players and not natural-born gamers who grew up playing video games so that they could intuitively grasp the mechanics of any new game they get their hands on. For example, my wife didn't grow up playing video games, and for her it was very difficult to understand the gameplay mechanics in games such as Life is Strange or The Wolf Among Us. Even though she loved the story, it was frustrating for her to play the games themselves, so she quit after only 1 or 2 hours in each game. So, making a short but effective tutorial, all the while communicating most of the essential gameplay mechanics, controls, but also game world concepts in a clear and concise manner, and not getting the players utterly bored with no motivation to get past the tutorial, is indeed not an easy feat. One of the cardinal sins designers make when developing the introductory tutorial is underestimating the player's intelligence, all the while removing the player agency completely, making a 30 minutes or more tutorial unskippable every time they start a new game. A badly designed tutorial is immediately obvious to the player, while a well-designed one barely gets noticed as a tutorial in the first place. In my experience, this is also the case with good versus bad game design, or just about any software product when it comes to good versus bad execution. First, let's take a closer look at Deus Ex, a 20-year-old game, which remains, however, one of the golden standards in dynamic systems design, offering a wide range of options to the player which influence the end result of each mission and the overall story arc. Deus Ex, the shooting range. In Deus Ex, we play as JC Denton, who is a fresh agent starting his first mission for the UNATCO, a fictional anti-terrorist organization. Given these circumstances, We can expect JC to learn the basics of movement using hacking and lockpicking tools and weapon combat in a safe designated area and not directly in the field. So we undergo what would be the primary cookie cutter way of designing a tutorial, where we learn the ropes by visiting a series of designated rooms in succession, classic, to learn each specific thing we can do in the game. There are also some cringy moments, like a top agent of the organization, Gunther Hermann, congratulating you. "Ja, sehr gut, Herr Denton. You managed to hit a target with your pistol." Like he has nothing better to do with his time. Nowadays, players don't have much patience even for this type of tutorial, which can get pretty long and tedious. The good thing about this tutorial is that it can be entirely skipped, as the player has the option to choose playing it from the main menu, or just starting a new game altogether and go straight to the first mission on Liberty Island, where we will have plenty of time to learn the ropes and various gameplay options they have, all the while being guided on the intercom by their assistant engineer. Bioshock, the organic tutorial design. How does the organic tutorial design work? Well, it works like this. The level order and design are developed to present the mechanics in order of complexity and challenge to the player. In this way, the player is learning how to play the game simply by going through the levels, as opposed to stopping and doing tutorial levels or reading a lot of text, reading the manual, for example. So, training done right, in my opinion. Every experienced player might say something along the lines of, "I like exploring and discovering things for myself. I prefer games that leave me alone and give me space to do that." I myself fall into that category myself, and I guess most experienced gamers do. This feeling of exploration and space to experiment is the end result of exactly what I mean when I talk about training. If you design your levels or content with training in mind, you can train players by letting them simply play the game. Now, in Bioshock, we play as Jack, who, by pure coincidence it seems, survives a plane crash over the Atlantic Ocean and gets to visit Rapture, an underwater city fraught with perils. As Jack has no combat training as far as the new player knows, we get the voice of Atlas, helping and guiding us through the introductory area before the game actually starts in the next level, that is the medical bay. This introductory area, with the help of Atlas's voice, does a great job to help new players get quickly acquainted with the new world of Rapture, full of completely unfamiliar concepts when you think about it. Splicers, Adam, plasmids, little sisters, big daddies, the zap 'em and whack 'em combo, and so on and so forth. And by zap 'em and whack 'em, I mean using the electroshock plasmid and then whacking them with a wrench or a ranged weapon. With the adaptive training option turned on from the gameplay options, we also have text appearing on the screen and pop-up windows containing a short text explaining how to use vending machines, the Godder's Garden for upgrades using the Adam resource, or how to hack turrets and cameras to aid us against our foes. Plasmids are the special abilities the player uses beyond the normal weapons. You can freeze enemies in place, set them on fire, or even set a swarm of bees on them to confuse them long enough for you to hack a turret or a sentry bot to come to your aid. Whenever the player acquires a new plasmid, a short 15-second video is played, consisting of only 3-4 simple illustrations and a short but very effective voice explanation. In Bioshock's capitalistic society, it makes sense that the producers of plasmids would want to sell them. So these videos are presented as an advertisement, immediately presenting the added benefit to the buyer, or in this case, the player who is using them. Let's look at a short example for the telekinesis plasmid, or in short the TK plasmid, allowing you to move objects in the game with the power of your mind. So the ad says, throw objects at foes. You can even catch grenades and throw them back. We then immediately have to use this TK plasmid in order to catch a grenade thrown by a pyrosplicer at us and throw it back to clear a tunnel obstructed by debris. The player then knows how to use the TK plasmid for the rest of the Bioshock series. A simple, effective and non-intrusive way to train players on the spot, a kind of learn once, use everywhere approach. Another big and pervasive concept in Bioshock is the little sister big daddy symbiotic relationship and the role of each in harvesting Adam, a resource everybody wants and are able and willing to even kill for it. These characters are introduced to us by viewing them from a safe distance at first, until we encounter the first little sister and are presented with our first moral dilemma: to save her for significantly less Adam, or to harvest her, which will kill her, for more Adam. So the main struggle between doing the right thing and optimizing resource efficiency is presented in a very effective and succinct way to the player from the onset of the game. Now, this type of tutorial design is suitable and even to be expected nowadays, especially when the main character is no professional soldier or law enforcement agent of any kind. To design such a tutorial without it feeling like a tutorial at all does require solid level design in making it linear enough so that the player does not get stuck by doing something wrong, but in a way that makes the player still feel they have agency and freedom of choice and room to experiment. Personally, I particularly like the elegant solution Irrational Games came up with for Bioshock Infinite. In the guise of a celebration fair, we have a compact area with attractions we can peruse at our leisure in order to get familiar with vigors, salts, weapons, the new weapons, and vending machines. While the basic concepts in Infinite are similar to the ones in Bioshock 1 and 2, there are enough new takes on the concepts and several new definitions and new backstory to justify a thorough tutorial even for players who already played the other entries in the series. The plasmid videos from the first Bioshock are now replaced with live-action presentations by snake oil vendors, very suitable to the year the action is taking place in 1912. Snake oil vendors were all the rage back at the end of the 19th century. For example, in this attraction, we are taught to use the bucking bronco vigor, which raises enemies in the air before dropping them back to the ground. Several devil-like characters are hidden behind chairs, and we use the bucking bronco vigor to unmask and neutralize them. And we also get prizes for this. In this other attraction, we are taught to use a rifle, all the while learning more about the rebellion threatening Columbia, and we learn about Daisy Fitzroy for the first time, the supposed leader of the Vox Populi, the rebels in the story. We also have a chance to learn more about the technological concepts like mechanical horses and carriages, the voxophone, or the handyman, a kind of big daddy enemy we will encounter in the game, kind of a mini-boss type of enemy. We also get the seduction vigor, one of the most useful vigors in the game, used to charm mechanical, but also human opponents by investing some upgrades in it. Text also accompanies the in-game tutorial itself, as in the entire Bioshock series, by using this adaptive training which can be turned off. So, game tutorials. Can't live with them, can't kill them, right? Whenever designing a tutorial, which usually happens after finishing 80 to 90% of the game itself, always think of how a totally new player sees your game for the first time. How can you make the game rules, concepts and backstory crystal clear to that new player in an elegant way that does not insult their intelligence? Do as many playtests as you can. Ask your friends and family, if not restricted by an NDA of course, or ask colleagues from other departments that did not see the finished game or almost finished game yet. Do open betas, if time and budget allows for it. Do not jump over this very important stage in game development, as the introduction to your game which teaches new players how to master the game, often determines the player to either stop playing immediately or focus on becoming successful at it, eventually mastering the game and gaining a positive experience for life that they will want to tell their friends about. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching the video. Want to keep watching? If so, would you kindly subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button to be notified when the next video will come up. I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.